Wow, every speaker has just been fantastic, and the inspiration here is phenomenal. There's so much energy around environmental sustainability. Everyone in this room wants that. You work for that, and you've got perfectly good reasons why it's the most important thing on Earth today, but it's not enough. And we all know that too. It must be financially sustainable or it just won't happen. So I want to echo what Paul Watson said yesterday. He said, let's concentrate on what we can do today. And that's what I'm here to talk about. I'm Stan Emert from Green EnviroTech Holdings. We extract oil and carbon black from end-of-life tires and plastics, and we forever remove them from the planet. So thank you, Sally and Chip, and to your entire team for the invitation to speak. I'm also a business instructor at the University of Washington. I teach my students every day that we can work toward our dreams, but we have to deal with reality today. And the reality is that, as we've already seen, that recycling doesn't work for 91% of all the plastics in the world. And when you have that number staring in your face, you have to make a change. In our data-driven world, I've come to the realization that trying to recycle plastics is mostly a waste of time. We all know that at least 91% of our plastics, as we've already talked about, wind up in a landfill or worse, in an ocean. As Diana Cohen of the Plastics Pollution Coalition reminded us, more plastics are being made every day, not less. And then Doug Woodring of the Ocean Recovery Alliance, he showed us pictures of waste plastics basically everywhere. I've got a few of my own I can show. To me, when I look at that, I think that's the Earth that I live on. And how did I make it get there? And there's more to it than that. There's tires as well. So this is what makes Paul's words of concentrating on what we can actually do today even more important. So we, being Green EnviroTech Holdings, are here because as we change the way we do things for the future, and we are going to change, we have to deal with what we've already done. So I'm going to put my professor hat back on and just remind you that in any undertaking, you have to analyze ahead of time your ability to succeed. That means your ability to succeed in your mission and your ability to succeed financially so you can keep your doors open to pursue your mission. And that's what we have to do. So what we're doing at Green EnviroTech Holdings Corporation checks all the boxes. First off, what we do is we eliminate through our process of thermal oxidation, which is part of pyrolysis, waste tires and plastics forever. This is why I don't think that recycling is the way to go with plastics anymore. And I grew up recycling. And when I get home, I'm going to recycle again because it's what I know. But the thing that I also know is that when we recycle, we extend the life of the plastic that is the pollutant. We shouldn't do that anymore. Instead, let's see if we can extract out of it what happens. And if we can extract the oil out of it, then, and I'll talk about the oil in just a minute, and the carbon black, then we have something that is truly useful and the plastics are gone. Second, it creates stable employment. This is a closed loop system, by the way, so that there is absolutely no pollution. And then even the syngas that is created, we can use that inside to power our own plant. But we create stable employment. The UN says that there's a 100-year supply of waste tires. I don't know about you, but that doesn't make me real happy. And then we all know that at least 70%, and I think it's actually higher than that, 70% of all plastics ever created are still on the planet. And those numbers aren't shrinking. So what we create from the end-of-life tires and plastics are global commodities. So there's no need for revenue from the local economy. And because the feedstock is local, or is global rather, we can put a plant in just about any place on the world, and that's really very important from the stable employment standpoint. The globally sourced revenue and feedstock enables us to provide stable jobs. Next is we have, and this is very important from a financial standpoint, well, I put this up there again because I just can't emphasize that enough. You saw with Doug Woodring and with others the plastics in our oceans. I want to get rid of them. Totally and gone forever. And that's why I emphasize that so much. Next, we have a third-party guaranteed performance. I talked to you about our 5 to 7 years of R&D that we did to make sure that we actually had a process that could work. And this is our evidence of our differentiator. Because there have been others who tried and failed with pyrolysis. But just like those who tried to build a flying machine, It took a while before flight can be sustained. Green EnviroTech spent 5 to 7 years in research and development, and then we asked a global engineering firm to break our system. And guess what? They couldn't do it. And after that, they said, we want to be a part, and because of that, we're going to write you a performance guarantee. So we have a third-party global engineering firm guaranteeing our engineering performance as well. And since the oil through the Green EnviroTech process is Alaskan North Slope, which is a higher grade than Brent crude, it's a very high-quality oil. And so we have an agreement with a global firm to buy every single drop of oil that we can produce. Now, I know that oil is a bad word to some, but this isn't about fossil fuels. If you have a belt on, if you have shoes on, if you have cosmetics on, if you brushed your teeth this morning, more than likely there was oil in all of those products. So what we can do is we're not going to be drilling dry holes. Instead, we want to take the tires and plastics that are on the earth today, get the oil and the carbon black out of them, and then move on. Next thing, global commodities. I've already mentioned this in that there's no local revenue needed. This is really important for financial sustainability. Because that means that we can go into an area of poverty and we can create the jobs, we can create the businesses, and we can create the stability, but we're not going to ask for a nickel from them because we already have it sold on the global market. They don't lose any assets. Now finally, for the business people out here, EBITDA, 40 to 60%. What that is the profit level. Our cost per barrel is $10 to $12. Our distributable net income in a waste tire plant is $20 million a year. In a plastic plant is $7.5 million a year. So, because of the R&D, the business model, the third-party guarantee, the product outtake agreement, and an insurance wrap, we have our plant funding in place. So why are we here? We're looking for local partners to own up to 10% of the plant on a 1% deposit, plus help us with the plant location and local rule compliance. We'll refund the 1% deposit upon full plant funding in about 6 months, and the local partner gets to keep his or her negotiated percentage interest. This is a big passion with me. We have to forever remove end-of-life tires and plastics. And there's one more thing about this. I believe that if we're successful in our scale-up of our plants around the world, that our economic incentives to bring in waste tires and plastics for elimination will help change the global culture on the way we take care of our planet. Now, finally, because I told them that I would finish up quickly, our short-term goal is to come back here next year and to show you how many waste plastics and tires we've removed from the earth. But our long-term goal, you don't hear this too often from business people, but our long-term goal is to succeed ourselves out of business. So thank you very much. And we've got a minute and a half left, but you know what? I'm going to give it back to the group so that we can help move on, and I will be around the next couple of days if you have questions.